Welcome back, family. You are now listening to the Fitness Headspace podcast, episode 8, with the Fitness Essentials 101, hosted by myself, Deion Avril, Mr. Get Fit, Don't Quit from Evolve Fitness. And I want to thank you all for tapping in. So if you guys could go ahead and like, share, comment, subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate that. Every person counts. Every little bit counts, right? Because what we're trying to do, we're just trying to build this community where we can come together, encourage one another, offer personal experiences, tips, tricks, life lessons, small little hacks across all platforms, and providing the knowledge that I've acquired over the last few years and that I'll continue to be able to provide as well, because we're always learning, we're always growing, we're always expanding, right? So what I want to do is just share with you guys really quick before we get started some of the new things that I'm working on. First and foremost, I'm going to be putting together a few ebooks. I've already been starting up a few of them at a time. But there's going to be a lot of free content that I'll be providing for you guys. Now, segueing with the ebooks, I'm going to be working on my website. So you guys are going to be able to download all the ebooks off of there for free. I'm going to be giving multiple things for free as usual, because again, it's all about expanding the information and your knowledge in general, right? Along with more YouTube videos. What I want to be able to do is just tap in. So whether it's just small random things that I've been thinking about off the top of my head. I do a lot of stuff on IG and TikTok, but I definitely want to go ahead and diversify and come back onto YouTube, because this is going to be my main platform as far as being able to be as vocal and expressive as I want to be, and also being able to give you more quality content and not necessarily have to worry about, the back end of certain things, right? So those are some of the things that we're working on as of right now. Other than that, I'm making a couple of plans as far as getting involved with the community. So that's going to be announced later on. That's just something that I'm trying to work on, trying to do one thing at a time, of course, and also providing private coaching, virtual group classes to individuals. Because what I want to do at the end of the day is help you feel great about yourself individually and collectively as a family. That's going to be the most important part, and create more positive habits within your lifestyle. Okay. So let's tap into the first topic of discussion. So, like I said before, we're going to be keeping the same format as before. The first topic is going to be fitness for all, and we're going to have subcategories in between it. So, the first topic is how to maintain your workouts with an injury. Now, I know a lot of people that I work with in the past, I've worked with in the past. Currently, I have actually only one person that's dealing with a few injuries, which is fine. The first thing that I always consider is you need to consult with your doc, okay? As much as you don't want to hear that, that's the number one thing, because if we're not cleared medically, it's a liability on any coach's standpoint, but also you don't want to hurt yourself. I mean, it's one of those things that you want to be mindful of. If you're cleared, then hey, that's one thing. But after you do that, speaking to your doctor, I'm not saying that doctors don't know anything, but some doctors do work out, some don't, but they'll give you a basic understanding of some of the movements you might not want to do as of right now until you do strengthen the areas around that injury. So being able to get a decent understanding of what some of those movements are that you should avoid for the time being is going to be very important as far as moving forward in regards to working out. So one of the things that I always like to suggest, depending on what type of injury it is, machines are going to be a little bit more stable. They'll be more fixed. The only thing is some machines aren't made for everyone. So it's not every machine fits everybody. So that's one thing you have to be mindful of as well too. But the main thing you want to do is just focus on strengthening those areas around that problematic injury that you might have. So if it's primarily the knee, it's not necessarily your knee. It's going to be the muscles around it. So your quads, your hamstrings, people don't know that, you have the muscles that wrap around the knee, right? And also even like, for example, the front portion of your calves or your actual calves themselves. These are things that you want to make sure that you're strengthening, but also make sure that you're stretching. and I'll give you a personal reason why I'm laughing in just a second, but making sure that you are focusing on strengthening those muscles. Not only that, but again, being flexible and having full mobility and range of motion on them as well too. With that being said, the reason why I started laughing was because I have a personal injury right now that I'm dealing with, and it's looking like it might be a torn trap muscle. So if you guys aren't familiar with your trap, that's going to be the part of the, I guess it's more so of the shoulder. that runs starting at the neck, at the side of the neck, and it wraps around behind, like almost like your upper back. You would consider it. Most people consider it their upper back. So that is something that I'm dealing with right now. And what I want everybody to keep in mind is that you do not have to ego lift or lift heavy. So a lot of people will see me like, yo, you look good, da da da, whatever, whatever. But it's just like, they'll see me with 10, 15 pounds. Like, dude, why aren't you lifting more? It's like, well, I'm dealing with the injury. And to be honest with y'all, I don't owe anybody an explanation. But if somebody's going to ask, I'll educate them, because it's like, at the end of the day, especially for bodybuilders or people who are athletes, we deal with torn muscles, broken this, broken that, strain this, strain that on a normal basis. So it's just one of those things where, yeah, I would definitely love to lift heavy, but at the end of the day, I might feel good right there and then and trying to show off or whatever the case is, because I'm ego lifting. I might see a nice little shorty or something like that and be like, yeah, I'm trying to, like, but for what? Because I'm going to go home and excruciating pain. The shit is not even worth it at that point. You get what I'm saying? So for the 2 minutes of, like, she's looking at you, to be honest with you, she ain't impressed. And if she is, like, bro, she's impressed for the wrong reasons, because that's all ego. And you just want to be mindful of how you're lifting. So at the end of the day, for me, it's going to take approximately maybe 2 to 6 months of getting my trap where it needs to be, in regards to full range of motion and being able to do the normal things that I would do for bodybuilding. But I would prefer that over me completely just screwing the shit up and having to have surgery. So 2 to 6 months compared to years of rehab, I'll take half a year. That's cool. Like, 6 months flies by before you know it anyway. Like, think about it. We're in June now. I remember when my birthday was just right around the corner in January. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things that you have to be very mindful of. This next topic is going to be sensitive for some people. And the reason why it's under Fitness for All, because I find this to be a really important topic that a lot of coaches, not even just coaches, a lot of people are not necessarily ignoring, but aren't aware of. So I just want to make that very clear. And as I'm speaking about this topic, and like I said, it will be sensitive, but I'm not trying to poke fun at anybody. This is legitimately a concern of mine. And this is one of the reasons why I really love doing what I do, is because, again, I love to help people transform and create healthy habits over their whole lifetime, right, as they're moving forward. And that topic is obesity in America. I'm gonna drop some gems as far as stats from the CDC. And again, the CDC, it's probably not 100%. These are just rough estimates, right, based on studies and cases that they have. But I just want to give you guys an ideal number so you could see why it's so concerning to me. Now, this is directly from the website. I just copied and pasted this specific part. So the U.S. obesity prevalence was 42.4% between 2017 and 2018. Now, from 1999 to 2000 through 2017 and 2018, okay, 2 separate time frames, all right, basically a year for each. U.S. obesity, the prevalence has increased from 30.5% to 42.4%. Okay, let me repeat that. 30.5% to 42.4%. During the same time, the prevalence of severe obesity increased from 4.7 to 9.2%. Obesity-related conditions include heart disease, strokes, type 2 diabetes, and certain types of cancers. These are amongst the leading causes of preventable premature death. So listen to what they just said. These are preventable. These are absolutely preventable. Okay? This is something that I want you guys to understand. Now, the estimated annual cost of obesity in the United States was $147 billion in 2008. All right, y'all, 2008. That is quite a while ago. That's why I'm laughing. It's quite a while ago. So imagine what that number is now. Medical costs for people who had obesity was almost $1,500 higher than medical costs from people that had healthy weights. Okay? And the reason why I'm stressing this out is because it's a real thing that's going on as of right now and within the US. Now, I'm going to give some, it's going to sound like me joking and poking fun, but think about it. I come from a Haitian background, okay? A lot of island people know this as well too. We eat a lot of rice. We eat a lot of things with a lot of grease, and it's the wrong oils as well. Like I wish I could tell, my grandmothers and people that cook, like, hey, let's try avocado oil, and we need to just be more mindful of how much fat, or olive oil as opposed to canola or corn oil. The oils that are absolutely horrible for you. But again, these are just the ways that we're stuck in, and that was also what we were provided with and what we could afford at the time. Now times have changed, but old school is always, it's going to be old school. If you're from the islands, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't go to your grandmama and tell her to use this. I promise you, it's not going to work out well. You're not going to get any of your grandma's cooking anymore. That's a fact, right? But you guys have probably seen like movies poke fun at it where they're like, yeah, these like French people are really big on that. That's why I kind of connected with being Haitian, because we speak French. It's broken French. Creole is basically. They're like, these Americans, like we eat so much. Like if you go over there, a lot of people will tell you, like if you go to McDonald's and stuff like that, their sizes, their portions and rations are completely different from what we have, right? So how can I say it? Our medium would be like their large, and that's just like to give you an idea of where we are. So with that being said, the main thing is not even necessarily the eating, it's more of how we're portioning our food and the type of food that we decide to eat. And later on, I'm going to give some tips in regards to how to combat that. But this is a real thing for me, because I know people personally that are close to me, that are dealing with these things, and I can't help them until they understand themselves, like, hey, how severe it is. So when they go for a doctor's checkup and the doctor's telling them like, hey, this is where you are, and if you're not careful at the age that you are, not even 21 yet, you're considered obese, and you have a higher chance of having diabetes, like I just mentioned. Okay, now granted, this is a family member. These are family members of mine, so I'm not just talking out of my ass, like dead ass. This is stuff that's really going on in my life, and this is why I feel like I can relate to you, to the community in regards to this. So my whole thing is that, again, we have to bring attention to the obesity crisis right now. And to give you an example, a lot, like I remember when I was in middle school in North Carolina, we had PE and all that. They're pulling a lot of these they're pulling funds for a lot of these educational programs. And plus, these people weren't getting paid a lot to even teach any of this. So they really didn't give a fuck, to be honest with you. I'm sorry to cuss, but that's just really what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of put me in a position where it's like, yeah, although I'm doing coaching and all that stuff for grown people, I actually plan on getting into youth exercise as well too, because I feel like there's not enough of that. A lot of coaches are just focused on, grown adults and stuff like that. And it's the same thing with pregnant women. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, these are gonna be the two specializations that I'm going to be investing in very soon. Okay, how to train with pregnant women specifically, and also how to train with kids, because I want to be able to do group little gatherings for kids and stuff like that, and bringing people up together in the community. These are things that I feel like need to be done. So if we're going to make an impact the right way, we need to start with our generation that's here now. You get what I'm saying? And in a sense of the upcoming generations. That's how we make a difference. It's not necessarily nothing against anybody that I'm working with now, but they're the future of our generation. So I want to be as impactful as I can and on a positive note for them, because it seems like nobody else is doing this shit. That's just really what it is. So I digress, y'all. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about, because we keep it short. Like I said, now I'm keeping it very short. I don't want to drag anything out or whatever the case is. The next topic is going to be diet and nutrition. And when it comes to diet, I'm going to be giving you guys some information in regards to my personal suggestions. But first and foremost, once again, consult with your doctor, all right, before you take any advice that I give you. Now, I'm going to give you guys my top 3 vitamin suggestions, vitamins/supplements, and why. All right, like I said, consult with your doctor first. So now, if you're going to the gym or anything of that nature, the first thing you want to keep in mind is creatine monohydrate. You don't need these crazy ones, HCl, super creatine, all that shit that y'all be seeing in what's the brand name? Bang and all that stuff. None of that shit really matters. Okay, if you could get creatine monohydrate, that's the best thing to get. You can probably get a tub of it of 100 servings from like I think, what is it, Muscle Tech? Something like that from Vitamin Shop for like $10. No, it's like 13, I think 13 to $15. So what? You buy 3 tubs, you have almost a year's worth. You get what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't buy it like that because it tends to clump up, but you know, that's all you really have to spend on it. Now, let me give you guys a couple of different reasons why. All right, these are going to be very straight to the point. I don't want to get too detailed because, you know, the community that I'm building right now, I just want to keep it very simple with you guys. And if you guys want more research or information on it, they do have published papers out there that you guys can read in regards to the studies. So one of the things that creatine can do, it can stimulate several key biological processes that will lead in regards to growing your muscles and the size of your muscles. So basically, it'll optimize the growth of your muscles is what I'm saying. All right. It'll also increase short and long-term muscle mass growth. And it's usually going to be one of the most sought out, the most studied, and that's probably the top thing that everybody will tell you in regards to muscle building and also preventing muscle loss. Okay, especially with older people. That's what they're suggesting. Not they, but that's one of the things that I've noticed a lot of people will be suggesting for older people as they're getting older to prevent muscle loss. And this is one of the things that, as a bodybuilders will tell you the same thing. Yeah, like it fills your muscle cells up with water, whatever. You might bloat a little bit, et cetera. But listen, that's the least of your worries. I promise you. The one thing you want, especially like, for example, somebody that's cutting and you're trying to get smaller, incorporate more creatine, because that creatine is going to hold on to the muscle mass that you do have, along with you having the proper nutrition in place, along with the proper resistance training. So all of that is going to come into play. So the second one is going to be fish oil. Fish oil is going to have very strong anti-inflammatory effects. It'll also reduce symptoms of inflammatory diseases, especially rheumatoid arthritis, or RA, as people would know it as. It supports with heart health as well. And they were showing some studies as far as supporting eye health and a couple of other things. But again, these are speculative. This isn't 100% unless, again, these are published things. I like to look at things that are accurate and that can be verified, right? But those are some of the reasons why you want that fish oil. Also, like cognitive function, which you could do the same thing with like blueberries and a couple other things. There's so many options. Like every episode, I'm going to give you guys some information of different things. Like I said, I got a whole sheet based on an alkaline aspect of certain vitamins and minerals. The third one is going to be a multivitamin. So what the multivitamin is basically like your insurance policy, right? You got everything done the way it's supposed to. You got everything cleaned up or whatever the case is. But in the event that something were to happen, shit hits the fan, you'll still have that multivitamin, which just means that if there's certain vitamins and minerals that you do not consume on a day-to-day basis based on, like, say, your lifestyle or your diet, and what I mean is like nutrition lifestyle. So if you're like paleo, keto, vegan, whatever the case is, pescatarian, there's going to be a lot of things that you're missing. So the multivitamin will add that in without you having to find those individual foods that it would take, a decent amount of these type of foods, drinks, whatever the case is, to get the same amount that you could get in 2 to 3 pills. So that's one of the things that I'll always suggest. Now this is more of nutrition, and that's going to be the importance of leafy greens in your diet. So if you guys have ever heard, you always want a colorful plate. That's going to be very important. You want a colorful plate. Leafy greens, the good part about them is that they're brimming with high fiber, depending on which ones you have. They're great with vitamins and minerals. So this is another way that you can get them if you're not comfortable with taking multivitamins or you suck at taking pills. This is another option as far as trying to get a decent amount. Okay. Now be mindful of how much greens that you eat all at one time because of the fiber, and it will cause like digestive issues. I've had that happen to me the other day, and I was like, damn, I didn't do anything crazy, but I had way too much at one time. I should have just split it up. So that's one thing to keep in mind. It will help you protect from many things as far as like heart disease, diabetes, cancer. And the thing is there's certain colors for certain vegetables and fruits that do relate to certain things within your body. So like, red being heart, green this, blue that. Like, so there's different things about them, and it's not all of them. I don't want to say it's all of them, but it's a really cool thing in regards to being able to see it of that nature. It's pretty dope. So I'm going to, again, start doing that next week with you guys. Now, fitness myths. This is the part that I really wanted to talk about. So the first fitness myth that I have is you can target the way you burn fat. So first and foremost, it's a 50-50. And what I mean by 50-50, there are high quality supplements that you can utilize but they'll focus on specific pathways to reduce like adipose tissue or fat more so. But you can't completely eliminate body fat at all whatsoever. Like basically what you're doing, you can reduce the size of the cell or of the fat itself, but you can never completely disintegrate it. I wish that was a thing, but you really can't do that, unfortunately. Okay. So with that being said, as you are adjusting the way that you're eating, incorporating cardio, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, yes, you will get more lean, you will get more tone, as some people would consider it as well. But you will never completely burn off all the fat. You can get super lean, but you cannot burn all the fat off. You always have some excess fat. Okay, that's like everybody. Anybody, doesn't matter how low their body fat is, clearly they can never get down to zero body fat percentage. And that's not even healthy, speaking of hormonally, but we won't get into that. So the second one, you can spot reduce. This is like a very touchy topic for a lot of people. And this one I'm going to go into a little bit. So I've spoken to many clients and just many people in general about this concept. And the truth is, generally, it's not true. Okay. But this is going to be a direct response. And I'm not throwing shade, bro. I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all. This is for the people that wear like these sweat belts and these sweet sweats, whatever they call them, whatever they are, and think that it's targeting their stomach. Okay. Now, the reason why I think that's misleading is, one, again, this industry, the fitness industry is set with a whole bunch of plants. All right. And what I mean by that is people who are going to give you this concept of like, hey, I got this body by putting this on. No, the fuck they didn't. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. No, they didn't. They're lying to y'all. They're lying to you. It's either that it's a monetary gain type of situation. That's like if somebody came to me, AD, we'll pay you $200 every time you post this stomach, whatever, like those little suits that guys be wearing that look like kind of vests and then they make you sweat. Bro, complete BS. And we're going to dive into it. In all reality, all it's really doing is utilizing your heat. So it's like one of those heat blankets, right, to keep you warm. And they're using material within the inside of it, which will cause your core temperature to rise, which in return makes you sweat. Okay. So people who see me in my videos, they notice that I wear a lot of jackets, and that's a way that I'm able to keep my core temperature up. Okay. It's the same concept. So if you put on a jacket within the gym, you're going to sweat the same way. The only difference is that you're probably going to sweat more if you actually think about it. So for example, I'll put on a shirt and then put on a jacket, depending on the size of the jacket, because I'm more than likely going to be able to get my core temperature up a lot higher. And I sweat fast, but I cool down really fast if it's cold too. So I use that to my advantage to an extent. Now, granted, again, I'm not spot reducing, okay? Which means that I'm losing water weight from everywhere. Yeah, I might be pulling it primarily from my upper body because I got a jacket on, but I'm not getting any smaller on my upper body. Yes, I'm reducing the amount of water weight that I have because I am pushing out the sweat, but that's all it is. You're literally just getting rid of water weight. You're not spot targeting anything. So don't let these people lie to y'all. Okay. So you'll be able to get on a scale. It'll drop a little bit. And I will say the positive benefits of wearing some of these, it's kind of like a belt. You get what I'm saying? And what I mean by a belt is like a support belt. So it might help with your core posture. It might help with your back posture, things of that nature. Yeah, it has some positive aspects to it, but it's a complete fitness fad, bro. Dead ass. And I have yet to see any science saying otherwise. And if you guys can prove me wrong, I would love to see it. I'd love to see it on a controlled group, multiple people, different ages, people who do train, people who don't train. I'd love to see that, because it's not true. 100%. You will never see me. Once I come out with my products, y'all will never see that come out. If anything, it'll be a belt, an actual lifting belt. But I'll be damned if I come out with a sweat belt, knowing that I'd be lying to y'all. You get what I'm saying? So just be very mindful of these people that y'all following and buying stuff from for outrageous amount of money too, when you could just pay a coach that will help you get to the goals that you need to get to. Come on, man. All right. The third one is going to be, you shouldn't work out on an empty stomach. Now, I would have to say 50-50 with that, because it depends on the person and their lifestyle. It's a case-to-case basis. Not everyone is in the mood to eat breakfast in the AM. I know both of my clients that I train in the AM, they're not eating in the morning. They prefer to work out fasted, and then we eat afterwards. Okay. So yes, you can still work out, in my opinion. Your performance might take a little toll depending on the situation and what you're doing for your workout. But it'll be more important in this case to consume your meal afterwards to help with recovery in regards to that process, and also reducing the possibility of muscle breakdown. So yeah, in that case, you definitely want to make sure you eat within a certain time frame, which is another one that I could give you as well. A lot of people will say, oh, you have to eat exactly X amount of hours after you work out. No, you don't. If you had a meal beforehand, you're fine. You got a decent amount of time, right? And also depending on what you ate beforehand. So if it was a banana, yeah, homie, you probably want to get something a little bit more afterwards. That's fine. But if you had a full ass like breakfast and then you wait an hour or two, then go in, and then afterwards you come out, then yeah, you got a little bit of time. You don't have to necessarily smash something out right there and then. Now, granted, for a person who does not eat in the morning, then yeah, it's going to be a little bit more imperative that you do that. I'm not going to lie to y'all. A little bit more imperative. Okay. Now, the last one that I have is no pain, no gain. You guys have heard that saying before. And the reason why this is a fitness myth is because I look at no pain, no gain as a really quick, easy way to potentially hurt yourself. All right. A lot of people say this on a day-to-day basis, but you genuinely do have to be careful of how close you follow that saying when you're training. And the reason why is just because you don't feel the pain doesn't mean it's not working. All right. So that soreness or whatever that most people will feel, and be like, damn, I got a good workout, I felt that pump. Like, a pump is different, but the soreness is called DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness. So some people, like, for example, we'll do legs today. Today's Monday, and well, yeah, I'm recording this on Monday. So if it's Monday and you get back on legs, you probably won't feel that leg workout till Wednesday or Thursday. You get what I'm saying? Like, everybody's body responds differently. And also, there's a whole bunch of different factors, but that's the main thing. So don't get caught up with that whole concept. But I always say that because there's going to be plenty of times where you'll train and you won't feel that soreness. Now, granted, you could use DOMS as an indicator, but try not to rely on that concept only. All right. Or that indicator only. Always work smart and not hard for no apparent reason. Y'all can crack out, 4 sets of 10 with some crazy ass shoulder presses with 60 pounds, and it might look cool, whatever the case is, because you feel like you want to feel the soreness. But at the same time, you're actually causing more harm to your body, because your body's not used to that amount of weight. It's not used to that amount of stress right there and then, especially going from, like, for me, let's say I'm doing shoulder press at 25-30, because I do have that shoulder issue, straight to 50. Like, what are you doing with your life? You get what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to, again, work smart, not hard. That's the way I look at it. So instead of no pain, no gain, work smart, not hard. Or some people would be like, work smart, not stupid. I just don't like using it that way. So I'm not insulting anybody, but work hard, work hard and work smart. Actually, you could put it that way. So the last one within this list is going to be, you should stretch before working out. Now, again, i.e., this is kind of preference. I mean, we've seen a lot of studies that you lengthening and stretching your muscles out will actually decrease your performance and output, and potentially give you a higher probability of injuring yourself within the gym. So instead of doing full-on stretches, what I always like to suggest is doing a warm-up on some form of cardio, or doing dynamic stretches that are closely related to some of the movements that you're doing. So, for example, if we're going to be using our hips, like, for example, we're doing hip thrusts, if we're doing squats, things of that nature, yeah, like leg swings, kickbacks, stuff like that. If I'm doing lunges, the kickbacks would definitely help out. I'm doing like side lunges as well too. So there's just a couple of different things, like arm rotations, arm circles, stuff like that, bear hugs if we're doing chest and back. Just small things like that you want to keep in mind. Like get the muscles ready and activated. Or you can even use, for example, resistance bands just to give it a little bit of a small warm up. Nothing too crazy, not a lot of resistance, something light, just to get that blood and that getting the blood flowing. So that was something that I would suggest instead of full on stretching. Maybe afterwards, after you do your cardio, then stretch. Yeah, makes a little bit more sense. Or cardio, and then wait a little bit till you get home and then stretch right when you get home. It doesn't have to be immediately after cardio. Just do whatever works with your lifestyle mainly. Now, here's the last piece, y'all. Specifically nutrition. I spoke about like nutrition and diet earlier, which was more of like supplements and whatnot. And then I touched a little bit on leafy greens, but this is going to go in a little bit deeper. So the one thing that I think is very important whenever you're about to start your fitness journey or things of that nature is a nutrition recall. Okay. And you're probably like, what is that? A nutrition recall is basically when, and I do this for clients as well too, that I'm bringing on, usually the week beforehand. What I'll have them do is track all their food, including drinks. So if you're a drinker, it doesn't really matter. Like, you just need to track so you know what's going on. And you're going to track for the next 7 days. Now you're wondering why 7 days. Granted, I mean, you eat every day of the week, more than likely, unless you're fasting or doing something crazy. But the reason why you want to do this is because it'll give you a baseline of understanding the average amount that you eat on a day-to-day basis. Okay, this will give you the foundation to understand if you need to add, if you need to reduce, or if you need to maintain the amount of calories or macros. I don't want to get into details too much about that you're consuming based on the goals that you're trying to reach. Okay, so if I tend to say, like, if I'm working with somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I don't know how many calories I'm eating, I'm like, okay, cool, but you know what you're eating on a day-to-day basis, right? Yeah. All right, well, I want you to track it all on a day-to-day basis. Now, when you look at the end of the week, you'll say that, okay, my average amount of calories is 2,400. And my FitnessPal, and because I want to lose weight, my FitnessPal tells me I need to be about 500 under, right? So like 19-ish, 1,900 calories roughly, we'll say. So basically, what'll happen is this will give you an idea of like, okay, cool, I need to adjust my calories and see where exactly throughout the day that I could remove some of them. Maybe I'm eating too much rice. Maybe I'm eating too much this. It's more than likely going to be forms of carbs that tend to get those way up. Or, hey, maybe I should probably stop drinking as frequently as I do and just pull out maybe one or two things. Or I could add in more cardio. Like, there's so many different ways. Or just move around more. You get what I'm saying? So there's so many different ways that you could do this. You're not locked into one way of thinking when it comes to this as well too. So once you start using the app itself, you don't necessarily have to continue using it. I would suggest it because it'll just keep you on top of your stuff. But from there, you'll have an idea. Like for me now, I'm into intuitive eating. Like I know what I eat day in, day out and what it looks like. So I'm eating approximately 1,800 calories a day and then hitting some cardio, which will put me in a crazier deficit. But now I've been bumping up a little bit and then just doing cardio to pull me back down to 17 because that's what works for me. So you could use apps like MyFitnessPal, Fat Secret, or whatever calorie tracking app that you like. It's all preference. As long as the numbers are as accurate as possible, because they won't be 100%. Probably 70 to 80% of whatever you see on your calories is going to be about that much accurate. So something to think about. Now, number 2, I want you to create a list of the ways that you can improve your eating habits. So be sure to work on one thing at a time. So if you notice that you're drinking a lot or you have a lot of sweets throughout the week, like you really have to be honest with yourself. And the reason why you do one thing at a time is because it's like telling the smoker, hey, stop smoking. You can't tell that person to stop smoking cold turkey. Like if we smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, maybe take 2 away. And then slowly but surely every week or 2, take another one or 2 away again until you get down a little bit. And again, because nicotine it's really addictive. So it's a little bit different. But the whole concept is you want it like that when it comes to sugar, because sugar is addictive as well. It's the same concept. So you have to make those small adjustments over time because you have a higher chance of going back to your old ways if you were to cut it cold turkey. Rome wasn't built in a day, and your body won't be either. And I want you guys to think about that. Now, guys, we have come to the end, right? We've went over a lot of valuable information. So again, if you guys could like, share, comment, subscribe, and send it to a friend so we could get this elsewhere, my friends, I'd greatly appreciate that. And if you guys have any other ideas or questions, or if you guys want me to switch the format a little bit or think I should have another topic, then let me know. I'm always up to constructive criticism, and the more that I can help you guys out, the better it'll be in the long run for us all. I will see you guys in the next episode, which will be episode 9 next week. I love you all. Y'all be blessed. Stay fit. Stay smooth. Because we get fit and we don't quit. And I'm out.